Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. My name is Nur Syahra binti Faranizam. My street number D2022110189 from class DTN3043 Group C. Today I'm going to be presenting my assignment of system structure. System structure is defined as an arrangement of computer components that are interconnected and work together to carry out tasks such as receiving input, processing input according to the given instruction. Input-output device is a device that functions to transfer data from a computer to an external environment or vice versa via an input-output port. So there's two component, which is first is mechanical component and second is the electronic component, which is a device controller in the form of a controller chip. Some example of the input-output device that we can see in our daily life is camera, keyboard, mouse, monitor, printer, and also a projector. The processor, which often called CPU, Central Processing Unit, is the heart of the computer system. The processor controls computer operation and execute data processing tasks. There is three main components in processor. First is control unit, which often called CU. Second is the arithmetic logic unit, ALU, and third is register. First, let's talk about control unit CU. So, what does control unit do? First, it manages and controls the execution of instructions. Second, it directs the operation of the other components within the processor. Of what control unit do is that it fetches the instruction from the memory, decode the instruction, and then directing the instruction to the ALU unit to perform a calculation. The second thing in processor is arithmetic logic unit, or what we call ALU. So what does it do? It performs arithmetic and logical operations, and it is also essential for executing mathematical calculation and logical decision. Example of what arithmetic logic unit do is that it's actually performing an additional operation, example like 5 plus 3, or logical comparison like checking if 2 is larger than 1. So that is basically what an example of what arithmetic logic unit do. The third main component in processor is register. So what does register do? So it serves as a fast memory location within the CPU. It also stores intermediate data and instruction during the processing. An example of what register actually do is that it holds temporarily the operand of an additional operation. For example, it holds the value of 5 and 3 before the ALU adding them. It's actually an example of how the processor operation cycle do. So first it's gonna fetch the instruction, and then it's gonna decode, and then it's gonna read the address, and after it read the address of the instruction, and then it's going to be execution. So there is three main things in the processor operation that you need to know. First is the fetching, and then the decoding, and then executing. So what does fetching actually do? So fetching is basically retrieving the code instruction from the main memory. Decoding is actually converting the fetched instruction into a simple code that the computer can understand. And third is executing instruction. So what executing does is that it actually carries out the action to perform the desired operation based on the instruction given. Next is the reading mechanism. So what is reading mechanism? Reading mechanism is what the CPU sends to the memory address via the address bus and the read signal via the control bus. So then the memory output the data to the data bus for the CPU to read. So you can see from the picture that I have put here on how it actually works. So what is clock pulse? So clock pulse is something that drives the processor to operate their instructions. So each clock pulse prompts the processor to perform a specific task based on the instruction that has been given. Last but not least is interrupt. So basically interrupt has two things. which is software interrupts and hardware interrupts. So software interrupt is something that triggered by software instruction. So basically, something like system call. So system call is something that could trigger the software interrupts. Another one is hardware interrupt, basically something that is triggered by hardware instruction. For example, hardware interrupt can be triggered by keyboard or mouse input. So it also has two maskable interrupt and non-maskable interrupt. Non-maskable interrupt is something that you have to address it immediately, and maskable interrupt is something that you can simply ignore.